May 16th. All right, now it is May 16th, and we're gonna go ahead and start our May version of our Makers Roundtable. And we are gonna start off this session with Jessica. She's gonna talk to us about what she's been up to recently. So, if you are ready, Jessica, unmute and take it away.
All right. By the way, I'm using Cephable on the side like I did on Tuesday to go through my slides.
Oh, okay.
So it's gonna be really short. It's gonna be like a 5-minute presentation, if that, because I'm not that good at making presentations. Naomi, don't cut in. Um, um, it wasn't very much work put in. If you want a full-length presentation from me, it usually takes 3 to 4 months for me to actually make. But, and I didn't even screen share yet. Hold on. Okay. I need to screen share. So, as you can tell, it's really lopsided. I didn't even bother making half the pages. So, about me, I am a class of 2023 high school graduate. Started making communication boards in the 9th grade. And then where is this? Sorry, something's missing. I started making my work when I was in 2017, when I was a freshman in high school. I stopped for a little during COVID, but as of fall of 2022, I've been working even harder with AT. I'm also a former AT champion at TechAl. During the AT Champions, I got to learn more about AT, and I was the first AT champion in the state of PA. I currently make adapted switches and also communication boards for first responders. These help the police communicate with people who are nonverbal, and I use the symbols from BoardMaker for these. I also have boards in over 300 police cars around the US. If you want any of my communication boards, please reach out to me by Instagram or email. Now, I'm going to talk about a couple of my projects I've been making with AT. So, I recently discovered Instagram AI, and I was like, oh, I'm never going to use this for nothing. And then it kind of turned into, oh, well, I can ask it for BoardMaker what words to put in and what pictures, or I can ask it for like core words if I'm trying to make like a SLP project. So this is one that I worked on in the middle of April. For this project, I had an idea to make flashcard-like materials for Unity symbols to learn how to use an AAC device with the 2020. Oh boy, I'm trying to remember what this was even about. I asked for 10 sentences on Instagram. I know what it is. And this is the ones I liked. Now, this is how they turned out. So if you guys all know about the literacy guide that PRC Saltillo has been doing. This one, these are from a couple of the books. I used lesson picks to do it. And you guys can read the AI thing the answer. And as you can see, I kind of matched them. Okay, the next one. Oh, that's how it turned out. I forgot to show that. That's probably a better picture than me holding these up. Then I use lesson pics for them. I drag the symbols into Google Drive and Google Docs, and then I just use their accessory thing on Google Slides to do it. And I did the first book where the dinosaur one was how dinosaurs play with their friends, and then I did April's book, A Stick is an Excellent Thing. And then a little more off topic, but I used AI for an AAC project. I asked AI for some sayings for a shirt. I went with saying empowering voices one symbol at a time. I made the design with the saying with the saying including SVGs of an AAC device and an adapted switch from symbol sticks, and I have a cat rubbing on me. I had someone use a heat press at Game on State, and this is what it looks like. That's what I said. Can you guys see it when I zoom in? And I printed that out on my Cricut. That was the first iron-on I did. And then a Cricut basically cuts vinyl, and then you tell it in the computer what. I just got bitten by my cat. Which one that you want to create? You do it in the software, and then it just cuts out the pictures, and then you just weed them out, and then, well, for this one you had to iron it on instead of just sticking it on. And don't worry, I think this is the last project, so all my boring talking will be done. This is what I made for my latest adapted menu I made. I asked for 10 words that I could use for the top page in a menu. And then I asked AI to make my menu for Tony Soprano pizza. And you know, New Jersey people are going to know what I'm talking about. So I made this one. Oh, it's hard when you have a cat nudging your leg. Oh, that wasn't working out. Well, in the bottom of the page, you see the Smash Bros board. And I basically made it with the same top. That's a smash burger place in New Jersey that just opened up a couple weeks ago. And then I made, can you guys see it when I move my screen? This is what I made for Tony Soprano's. I can't even get it to zoom out anymore. Hold on. Oh, that didn't even work. That's for Tony Soprano's. And I made them both in lesson pics. And I used the new grid books feature for those. And Bill Benko personally showed me how to use it. And I think that is it. My boring presentation is over that I set up horribly. And I didn't even use my Cephable. Sometimes I forget that I have that.
It
Your
won't
what?
be it won't be as boring as mine.
So
Jessica, I'm going to say something that I like. Sorry, that one of my colleagues says a lot. I'm not going to listen to you badmouth my friend Jessica like that. Uh, it's really interesting work, whether you like the presentation of it or not. I did. I think this is really neat.
And just remember, this is like only my 4th presentation I've ever given in like the life of me. So just remember that if it's horrible.
I work with grad students who have done dozens of presentations, and this was better than a lot of those. So don't worry. the idea behind it is great, and I think it's similar to what Ken described in, was that our last meeting or one before, where he
Yeah,
was
that's
talking
what
about,
Scout kind of mentioned if I could do something like that.
yeah,
And
and I
I set
like
it
this
up
as a,
when Adam and Brian did it. I was originally gonna do it there, but they've never really gotten back to me, so I just decided to do it here.
yeah, that's great. And the idea Ken had is a really good one, that if we have a couple, maybe a couple dozen engineers and a couple $100,000 or $1 million to throw at it, we can get done. But you were able to do something that is useful right now, using the available
I never
technology
thought
right now.
Instagram AI would actually know this much, like about, like, you can ask it. You can say, do you know, like, what are core words in Board Maker that I can use pictures for? And it'll tell you, like, oh, this blue, it's like green, it's like yellow, like on the core board, and that helps a lot. And then you can also like bring it to Unity and say, okay, what are the color combinations for Unity when you're making it in Google Docs? It'll just tell you the codes for that you need to put in to get the right color. And then I've been able to do that. And then it knows like the PRC literacy guide too. It knows a lot of things. And this is like Instagram AI. I'm not even using like the big AIs.
Yeah, yeah. So you provided these directly to the restaurant staff, right? Have you had a chance to have people test them out, trial them, or have the staff given you any feedback yet?
Not really. We were at Tony Soprano's like 2 weeks ago, and the manager came in and he found out that I did the menu, and they were all excited. They said they have a couple people that are nonverbal coming through there, but they also gave us free dessert.
For the win.
Those are the
So,
two best possible answers.
yeah. Did they reach out to you for this, or did you just offer these two restaurants these
I
boards?
offered it to my favorite restaurants.
Nice.
So those were my two big ones in New Jersey, me and my mom like going to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also made a board for a Lego store. Let me see if I can find a picture. I think I can pretty.
Fantastic.
Um, so there is a Lego store called Bricks and Minifigs in New Jersey. And honestly, I reached out to them like a couple weeks before they opened. I was like, do you want these boards? I can make them for your Lego store. And it took me like 2 days to make them. But then I also made a poster. And the day I was supposed to visit them was the day I got diagnosed with pneumonia.
Sorry, go
So
ahead.
Did you get back to them, and have you given them to them?
yeah, I
Yeah.
gave it to them. I can't find the pictures right now. I gave the boards to them on their grand opening. I was gonna give it earlier, but then I ended up having pneumonia.
Pesky little things that get in the way.
Yeah.
No, Jessica, that's really great. And I would suggest, with this presentation, add in those boards you did for Lego. Um,
I never really used AI for it, that's why.
oh, right. So, I mean, but wherever you can put those in, it is very cool that you've done that. And you know, I'm gonna nice. Man, you made that?
Yeah, basically you can make them on the computer and then bring it into Adobe, and then it cuts it out in multiple pieces, and then I just tape them together and laminate it.
Wow.
And I've
That's
gotten,
awesome.
it's still a little iffy sometimes when I'm doing it, but I've gotten better at making them like go on pretty smoothly to the pictures, like not really like messed up. Now I can say some of them I have. Well, I made one with Smartbox, one of their posters, and I'm looking at that now, and it's not really too bad, but and Lego, on the two ends, those were the Lego Masters winners of season 1.
Very nice.
Wow.
Awesome. When you
That is
deliver these,
so
are
cool.
you also, sorry, are you also giving them like a stack of brochures or flyers or business cards or something? Because you
Yeah,
mentioned
I
the
give
one
them
restaurant.
business cards. And then I
Good.
got a dot card now, so I can just tap it on the back of their phones.
Cool. Because, if the restaurant said we've got people that come in already that this would be beneficial for, those are the people who you want to be able to take a card or take your info because they're going to go to the restaurant next door too. That's probably not the only place they go. And for them to be able to say, hey, this is really helpful, or however they want to communicate that, or heck, if they can just take the card to someone, if they can't verbally communicate it, boy, you've got a real opportunity there.
Mm-hmm. I'd have to. My dad always says I should put a brochure together, but it's always like, I don't know, like how to put it together, and it's always like I don't really know what to say. And I've honestly been surprisingly, I'm still doing a lot of work, but I've cut it down over the past couple weeks because of my asthma has been really bad, and it's been having trouble breathing. One of the meetings, at the beginning of the month, I literally had 3 meetings in one day, and I was in the hospital. I felt so shitty. I only attended the last one at like 9 o'clock at night.
Wow. Well, one of the things I don't know, oh, ask Instagram AI to put it together for you. That's brilliant. Um,
Did you
so
just
you
open
could do that.
Instagram AI?
But another thing you could do if you have any colleges in your area or even your high school, if they do any,
Well, I graduated. I'm not in the high school I went to. It's like a lot of kids that have been like, you're gonna be surprised when I tell you what high school I came from. But came from an alternative high school where most of the people were in and out of prisons and causing fights and stealing things. Like I was just in there because my mental health got me so violent and no school would accept me. But then by the time I got there last year, everything was better.
oh, wow. Well, maybe not high school then, but if I'm just thinking there are young people out there who are working on their marketing skills, and so designing a brochure for you if AI doesn't work out.
This AI on Instagram AI, I want to note this. It's not like an image generating AI, it's just a text.
Ah,
Also, I'm
But
curious-
well,
my mom has what's the one you have?
With that.
What's
Chat-
AI? Chat GPT. She has that one.
And
Sure
then my
that
company started one project management has Infinity internal.
did you guys hear that? Mom, say it a little louder.
I work for a project management institute and they just started their own AI chat or AI source. It's called Infinity.
You guys heard that? I saw you guys nodding your heads.
yes.
Yeah, so that put me off topic, but
It's one more tool to add to your toolbox. I mean, you've got a great idea here. You're using a cutting edge tool to put together the content for it, and then putting it into a relatively low tech AT tool that people can use. It's brilliant.
Also, I'm curious, how did you end up choosing Instagram AI to kind of run the
well, I
project?
was always like against AI, and then I think one day I was just messing with it. And this is actually the first one I did. It wasn't really a direct idea of something I could do. But I asked it what are some visuals I can make I had to do my first social squad takeover and I was like asking it questions. Honestly, my first question was what NLE Choppa song will be the most appropriate to play? But then I noticed that after it knew that, I said, well, why don't I try something else? So I said, what would be some good visuals to make in high contrast? And then it Wasn't one of the ideas, but then I got the idea to make these visual cards in high contrast using my Cricut.
Very nice.
So that's one of the first ones I did. That's why some of the eyes had to be colored in and all, because that was like the first time I ever used like that's probably the first time I used symbol sticks images and turned them into SVGs. So some of them got a little messed up.
Gotcha.
Does anybody have Cricuts in here? It's not really an AT thing, but I've kind of sort of made it an AT thing. And like it takes a lot of space, like you have to have like a whole lot of room to do it because it's such a big machine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
I was thinking of using one to cut out like vinyl labels, like to put on the top of my joysticks, because they don't always print out nicely. So I thought, oh, if I could put a vinyl on top of it, it would look more
But that would be a
professional.
lot to get a Cricut just for that.
Yeah, that's why I don't have one.
You can send it to you now.
Mm. Yeah, you could send it to me. You live in New Jersey?
No, I live in Texas,
Uh,
but the mail works. I mean,
yeah. And it's really weird, like you have to do SVGs, and then sometimes when you go to cut it, it's gonna move like every single million shape that's where it's supposed to be all over the place, and then you have to like drag it all back in and make it cut right. And there's no way of saving it. If you accidentally X out of it, you have to redo all that all over again. It's a
right.
pain.
Yeah,
There's a
it's
way that you
one of
can
those
do it, but
one of those things I don't have patience for. I
Mhm.
delegate that to somebody else, I think.
You have
Well,
to
it
have a
looks
lot of
like
patience for Cricut anyways. You have to, there's a lot of try and fail with it.
Yeah.
I guess it's AT for you.
Yeah. That's life.
Ron, it looks like you might have a new subcontractor.
Do you work for free?
Unfortunately.
No,
Oh,
no, Jessica, say no. All right. Well, Jessica, I think that the one takeaway that we all agree on is that you need to stop saying your presentation is terrible. And when I think we all agree on more than that, like it was really interesting and you're doing great stuff, but stop saying it's terrible off the top. I loved what Bill said. Stop talking poorly about my friend Jessica. All right. Thanks so much for sharing. And Ron, did you say you had something you wanted to talk about today?
I don't know. Does somebody have anything else they want to talk about? I don't want to just go next.
I do have one more thing.
Okay.
This is kind of like regular maker thing. So I'll bring up the picture of it. That might make it easier. I have been making an iPad stand
Oh, okay.
out of PVC pipe. I was originally just gonna do it just for the hell of it of something Mary Catherine Daly did. And then it turned into, oh, these two things could be used to put switches on. So now I started using my interface and making a couple switches for it. I have a couple questions. Would there be any way that somebody would help me? Let me find. So that's what it looks like from the behind. But would there be any way that I could get help with somebody maybe pointing me in a direction of getting like the cord things that you tape on that you can, well, not tape on, stick on, that I can use to make my cords more organized? That's the big question.
I guess I don't understand. Are like you're not talking about just cable ties?
Pretty much. Like they have sticky things you can get to put on this to hold in cords. Like you can just get sticky cords for like a wall or a desk. I'm thinking maybe put it on this. First of all, it's duct tape, so I don't know if it would stick. But second of all, I feel like that would be somewhat of a help. I feel like I could probably mess with it more and figure out a way to get the cables more organized before I do that, but I don't know.
Is there
Well,
any
what
way
about-
to go through your pipe?
Right, that's what I was gonna say.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I would route it through the pipe.
I don't know about that
Why not?
because there's only 3 entrances. You got the one up here, the ones down here, and I'm not willing to drill any holes or anything.
Oh, you don't have to drill holes. I wouldn't think.
Because these are filled, because I put Velcro on top so you can put the switches on without them falling.
Oh, okay, I see. I see.
Yeah, but couldn't you still come out the side? You know, like, couldn't you cut a piece of that Velcro off and have your cord come out the red?
Not
end?
really, because I did cardboard under top of it and I wrapped it in a lot of duct tape.
Hey, so Jessica,
Fair.
one of my favorite things that I use too much are just Velcro cable ties. So you
I
can buy them in
have
a
those. That's why I'm saying, like, I may be able to get it to work. Because I actually ran out of cable ties. I need 2 more. But I have a wrap one, a Velcro one. Let me turn off
yeah.
my thing.
Would a hot glue gun, like you just take the tip of the hot glue gun, put it on the PVC pipe, that would create a hole in the PVC pipe without you having to worry about the drill and like the drill
But
bit
I also
slipping off
I
of
also
it.
have duct tape on it, so I don't want it to like burn and like leave a bad smell. That's the one thing.
Okay, not hard to do the hole before you add the duct tape on another prototype.
Ah.
'Cause then you
Another
just-
prototype. Ugh.
No, I can't. It was a lot of money to get some of these PVCs. I have like the long pipes, but like would have to get 2 of the corner ones again.
Yeah.
I remember when PVC connectors were cheap, like that was a great thing to prototype with. The connectors especially have gotten so darned expensive.
Yeah.
I don't blame you there.
Yeah,
But this is what. So this is what the Velcro's for. So you can stick the switches on the cardboard switches.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
what does that that switch that looks like a mouse do?
Click. It clicks.
It clicks. Okay.
This was the one that didn't turn out very well. They had to press down a little bit more on, but I consider because it's a click, you're probably not gonna. It's not like it's gonna be like left or right or up and down where I had to hold on to it for a while.
Right.
What
it's
holds
a
it
quick-
That
apart?
was the plan.
What do you have inside your cardboard that holds it apart?
Oh, it's just folded. I put a switch in it.
Oh, just a button.
Yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
that's what I do. I fold it. I put the button in, and then I put a little tape on the sides once I'm done to make it so like somebody couldn't go in there and rip it out.
Ah,
Right.
Well, not rip it out as easily.
Right.
You also could just duct tape around the whole cord, like just have the cord, externally, and just wrap more duct tape around it so you don't see it.
This is the problem. I don't like accepting the yes critical feedback.
so
We're just
Well, I
gonna be
got bad
talking
news
into a
for you.
wall.
so you have to jump off. We'll all discuss it and then send you an email that you can read when you're feeling like looking at other people's ideas. Just kidding.
Again, though, like the communication or the business specific communication boards, it's a great idea. And it's combining a couple of relatively easy things that already exist into a new way of doing it. And you have already thought of a lot of the solutions that we even could have come up with. And so it's a matter of finding out which one works best for you. The cable ties I threw in the chat, those are ones I have a set on my bench downstairs. I have a set in the office. I keep a pack of them on my bike. Like it's how I strap stuff to my bike when I need to. So
Oh yeah, that actually might work.
they're super useful.
Yeah,
they're
I'm
very-
just thinking you could put a cord in and tie it around the pipe.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yep.
I like that
In
idea.
fact, in the pictures in that listing, the fourth one shows almost exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that might not be a bad idea. Not
Most
being
of mine are.
sarcastic or anything, but
Yeah.
I'm just thinking because right now I have it, the interface is just like laying in the back of this. And I just have all the cords going in, and if you saw in the picture, all the cords are like all willy-nilly to one side.
Yeah, cable ties seem easy. And then it's also easy to take them off. So anytime if you put them underneath your duct tape or even inside, then you're having to take things apart if you, for any reason, want to take those off. So
Yeah, if it breaks or you want to choose a different switch.
And
Yeah, that's good point.
sometimes,
right.
right, like today, I just use it as a stand. Sometimes I'll use it like a stand like this. Or I'll just put all the cords on it to make it so you can like control the iPad.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And it was actually Mary Catherine Daly who first put this out like a year or two ago. And we just never got to it. And this weekend I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make it. Like and then I made it. It took me like 15 minutes to make it. I was like, I could make like Velcro on these tops. And then that's how it started, putting Velcro on and saying, oh, I can make all the switch things. And then the other problem is I want to put something at the bottom, like where my arm is, to hold the extra switches for the other 3 switches that aren't going to fit under there. And
Right.
me thinking of just using recyclable material, said duct tape this and put a Velcro strip on to put it on the bottom. But then I'm like, it may be a little too cheap. Like,
You want a professional. You don't want it look like it was knocked together.
mm-hmm.
It sounds like you have an excuse to buy a laser cutter now.
Ah,
It probably would be easier than the 3D printer.
yeah, I had one in the 3D printer. I just gave up on it. I have it in storage at my dad's house.
I don't
the
blame you,
la-
sister.
the laser would be more dangerous if you're looking for danger.
I mean, if
I
you
think
just
the word is exciting, Ron.
Or I could
Exciting.
get, or I could get tech out people to do it.
Yeah, it's exciting
you go.
until you have to buy the
Partners.
halogen fire extinguishers.
Yeah, no, partners, right? Collaborators.
Collaborate.
But you could also use the signboard,
The corrugated board.
mhm. And you could cut a triangle out and even just, use the hot glue like we're talking about earlier, glue that on the bottom and it would just stay there and you could add Velcro and add your switches that way.
I can try. It's just a matter of getting corrugated plastic.
Mhm.
Just sign up at one of your headquarters for an election sign in your yard and then as soon as they stick it, you don't even have to like it. You can just pull it and cut it off.
Mhm.
Put an application in for someone you don't like and ask for that sign.
That's a bad
Waste their
idea.
resources.
That's a bad idea.
No,
You're
I
gonna get a
took big
mailing
one,
list.
a
It's gonna
huge
be
one
horrible.
down of somebody I didn't like a few years ago after the election. And my wife kept saying, why do you have this in the basement?
Unethical life hacks.
This is being recorded.
Mine was
I'll
post-election.
say it.
Yeah, anyway. it would hold up longer than cardboard and it would
Mm-hmm.
be rigid, you know, which is
I was
nice.
gonna wrap it in duct tape anyways, like I've been doing for all the switches, but I don't know if I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Cause that's what I do with all my switches. I wrap them and put in duct tape. I put in a button, and then I get my Cricut out and make a design for whatever design I want to do. Like I don't really have anything like PG at the moment. I have like one switch that's like not PG, but
I'm so
Well, I mean-
curious. I mean, we're all adults.
well, we also are
It is being
recording this,
recorded.
remember?
What'd you say?
It is
We're
being
all-
recorded. And you know, you've got the, if you
And
have
everybody
the
probably already
Cricut,
thinks this is a Madhouse video anyways.
if you've got the Cricut and if you think that duct tape won't look professional enough for the finished product, if you use the corrugated plastic or anything else, you could also cut the shape. You can do a big broad shape. It doesn't have to be tiny, and do essentially a vinyl cover for it,
Well,
for
Oh,
your
right.
corrugated plastic, and then make it look like whatever you
It
want.
wasn't made with
Right.
much cardboard. This one was made with a Tupperware lid.
Nice.
Perfect.
I like that. It doesn't even look like it's Tupperware. It
Mhm.
looks, it's that green color that looks kind of weirdly high tech, like an IntelliKeys or something.
Right, right.
And I was wrapped in duct tape for the color. I have like every single color of duct tape anybody would ever want. You can
You have
ask
it
my
all on
mom.
like a spool, you know, like people who have crafts.
No, they're just they're all willy-nilly in this lakeshore bag.
Oh, look, you just need one of those, either a
Love a good
dowel
lakeshore
rod or
bag.
something to stick them all on there.
A PVC pipe. You can make
Mhm.
a
PVC
Broom
pipe.
handle.
Now, where would they put it? That's the thing.
Oh, yeah. That's an eternal problem. Where to
Right. You just make a stand for it.
There's no good answer.
Hmm.
Just make a stand.
I have something like a stand, but it's for another thing that Mary Catherine Daly made. It's an
Yeah,
adapted
Mary Catherine
dice.
Daly.
You know who
Just
I'm
keep it-
talking about, right?
I don't know her. No, Mary Daly's
Yeah.
an author in my world. I don't
Mary
know.
Catherine Daly is an SLP. She does a lot of board maker stuff, but she also makes a lot of AT stuff.
All right.
No.
And
It's
she's on
her
Instagram.
Instagram's AAC for all.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we are 40 minutes in. Ron, if you want to talk about something, you better get in there, or Jessica's going to keep telling us about her cool stuff.
Yeah. And then this one is for you, Scout, and for Bill. Let me change
Ooh.
my camera over. So,
Batteries.
been working with Bill on these battery adaptations. So the idea is to make to put like a reed switch. We talked about this last time, a magnetic way to set it up. And there have been many iterations. First, well, the target is AA battery. So replacing a AA battery. So we first went with a AAA battery. So this is a 3D printed part with the AAA battery and some connections. That didn't have enough room. So I went with a quadruple A battery, which is smaller, but not small enough. So what ended up happening is I ended up going with an N cell battery. So an N cell battery, these used to be used a lot with garage remote controls and other remote controls. They're relatively easy to find. And what's interesting with them is they are just about the same diameter as a AA. They're 3/5 the height. So that gives you extra wiggle room to work with all of your fun stuff there. And it's 1.5 volts, so that works out well. So on the back side, there'll be a cutout, and this is where the reed switch will go. There's just enough space. The reed switch is about 3 millimeters tall, 3.14 if Bill was correct in his measurements. And it'll fit there. So it's going to be wired down here to make and break the connection. so that when you hold the magnet up, depending on how you have it configured, will go either way. So the end cell in this sort of setup I have working in my toothbrush. I don't have the reed switch, so I just have these kind of hardwired with a piece of copper tape. But that's working out well. But then when I was thinking about it, I was thinking, well, some of the toothbrushes and a lot of the other devices will have more than one AA battery, right? They'll probably might have two, right? So I thought to myself, what if I made like a dummy battery like this that would replace one of the batteries in the unit? And then, now, I don't have a reed, so I put a big resistor in here, but I have a little 2.5 millimeter screw here and on the other end, and they're connected. So this one doesn't even require soldering. You just stick the wire in, and as you clamp down on that screw, it clamps the wire in place. So this would be a switch in effect. And then, so some of the toothbrushes and whatnot will run just on 1.5 volts, but some won't. Now here's a trick. There is a rechargeable battery that is exactly the same size as a AA, but it is 3.6 volts. So if you had something that required two batteries, which would normally be 3 volts, you could replace one of them with the dummy switch and the other one with the higher voltage battery. And then you'd still have full power. And the neat thing in what Bill and I have been working on is we want to minimize modifications to the device. We don't want to hack the device. We want something that'll be drop in and go. And so something like this with for a 2 battery one, a dummy switch, and then the higher voltage battery that's also rechargeable. Not that hard to find. It's a little more expensive, but not hard to find. The other benefit of this kind of dummy thing is that we have all this room in here, relatively speaking, to use different sorts of switches or electronics. So we may be able to stuff some sort of interesting, like what I would have said 20 years ago is I put in a mercury switch, where it tilts and it turns on, and you tilt it back, it turns it off. Those really aren't available anymore for safety reasons, but there are little ball switches that are available that you can get.
I have some mercury switches if you want to try it.
Mercury switches for a toothbrush, I think I'm going to avoid. So that's the adventures in battery land, and all of these models, and I'll put the link on in the chat. All these models and everything are up on GitHub, and they're public domain. I made them public domain, so you don't even have to reference me. I don't care. So as I come up with new iterations, I'll be posting the STLs and the OpenSCAD files.
Cool. Is it not?
Awesome work, Ron. On the N cell battery in particular, I thought the issue was more about not having enough room with the width or diameter, and so the thought was kind of putting the reed switch in the length of it. Did I misunderstand? That wound up being
There's still not enough length. That's the problem.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's just even the tiny little reed switches are too long. That's why I had to go down, kept going, like, let me go shorter and shorter and shorter, and I don't want to go to coin cells. And the problem with coin cells, besides the fact that I don't like them, is that if you want to have enough power, you'd have to put them in parallel. But normally they're going to be in series, stacked on top of each other, and that's not.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense. One other variation on this maybe to consider is there are plenty of devices where the batteries do go in series end to end. You could have a single double length component that the battery goes in one end and you have all of your components, just like your dummy battery essentially. Although I guess there's really no need for that, huh? Because the second one is just straight battery. Disregard. Had to think that through out loud.
Disregarded.
Thanks.
What?
So yeah, so that's,
And so this would, when
ahead.
would it connect and when would it turn on and off? Like how, I'm not familiar with the reed switch and like what, so if I pick up my toothbrush, is it then on or is it like, do I have to move my grip to turn it on?
So after we talked about this last time, Scout, I went back to the group and Ron and Ariana and Kylan, and we all did some kind of brainstorming on this. And it depends on which version of the reed switch you use, if it's normally open or normally closed. And then there are all kinds of ways you can trigger that activation. So I think we talked on this call last time about even like putting a magnet somewhere on your mirror or on your countertop that just touching it to that could start the activation. Well, actually, no, it would need to stay activated. So we talked about a magnet in a ring, or even something else we talked about. I don't think it was on this call, it was after, was out of a flexible material, TPU, that we could 3D print so that it's almost floppy. Put I'm trying to think of how to describe this or if there's a good example, almost like a magnet that's hanging off a floppy piece on the side, off the side of the toothbrush, so that all you have to do is put it in your hand or otherwise adjust your hand so that your hand is holding that down against the body of it. And as soon as you do, it's active.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like a flip switch on a pivot.
Yeah.
Instead of the magnetic reed direction, what if you made the battery like an induction coil, and then the glove or whatever you wore was essentially the power source, and so it made the device an inductive charge essentially. As you picked it up, you're getting charged and it turned on, and so the battery is essentially in your hand.
Battery is external instead of
External,
internal.
yeah, instead of internal.
Haven't thought about that. I've never worked with those.
I don't know how much power you can get through the induction coil, but I know, like, I've seen it with like the LEDs and whatnot, where so long as you're inside the coil, like it's gonna power it. So I was just thinking, like, reverse that, almost like your phone. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to
Just a
look.
thought.
I don't, this is way beyond my knowledge or ability. Part of the goal here is something that we could easily send out instructions for and anyone could make at home, or that we could ship out this kind of drop-in replacement. Are induction coils something that I could give someone a simple part number off of Amazon that they could go and
Yeah, 'cause
construct this and
I
safely?
think it's just a copper wire. Like, the induction coil itself is pretty simple. The battery piece of getting the power to the induction coil out, you'll need a glove or something to get that battery. I don't know how you'll do that piece. But in terms of like the induction coil itself, is pretty simple to make.
Okay, we'll have to look at it.
And just a thought, just a random thought.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So that would power the toothbrush.
Yeah, so
So it would-
essentially
yeah.
it'd be power on or power off depending on if you were holding the toothbrush.
Right.
Yeah, for the tough part about our target population that initially triggered this kind of line of work is it's people with ALS. And the whole reason they couldn't use an electric toothbrush was lack of strength to be able to activate a switch. So I'm afraid of adding any additional weight. We would have to look at, I know induction is a really inefficient power transfer. So I don't know if we would need something heavier than the AA batteries that we're replacing on the glove or whatever the case
You
may
would,
be.
yeah, because there's going to be energy loss in the induction.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Regardless, it's an interesting technology. I hadn't even thought about that and kind of reversing the use of it. could have other applications too. Thanks.
So your clientele, they just can't they just can't flip the on and off switch. Is that correct, Bill?
That's what started this, yes.
Yeah.
And that's where the existing option we have is a simple mechanical lever that makes it
Yeah.
practically zero resistance to activate that switch, but we were asked to make it even easier.
Wow.
And as
Okay,
we
so
look at
that's
the
what I was
problem,
thinking. Wouldn't it be?
go ahead, Scott.
What's that? No,
Go
I
ahead.
was just saying, wouldn't the lever be easier? But you've already done that.
We're also looking at it from a solving multiple problems. You know, not just toothbrushes, but anything that's battery
Right.
operated, has double A's or C's or whatever.
That you don't want to drill into to switch
Right.
adapt.
Yeah, like a toothbrush is a good example because you want it to maintain waterproof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool progress, Ron.
No,
Ron
I
knows
like
this,
that.
that he's. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Go ahead, Bill. No, go ahead.
No, you.
No, you.
No, you. No.
Fine, I'm going and you can't stop me. Ron posts videos on YouTube thinking through it, kind of talking through his process as he works on these things. And so he knows it's kind of taken over my mornings while I'm eating breakfast. I'm watching video updates of his battery work and other devices that he's working on. So if you're looking for some fun YouTube entertainment, there you go.
Breakfast of
if I'd call it
champions.
fun. I don't know.
No, I like that idea of the ring. You know, the thing I like is the idea that I can turn it on and off where I want, you know, instead of breaking away from the connector and then having it on before I get it in or out of my mouth. I like that
I
ring.
agree. I agree with you, Scout. The idea then of having to don and doff that ring becomes kind of a pain in the butt. And that's what inspired the idea of having it floppily hanging off the side of it. You get the same effect without having to wear it. You just have to pick it up in such a way that you apply it when you want it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I love this. I love this project, this toothbrush project.
Thanks for
And
everyone's
I do
input,
agree.
helping
I'm
it
sure
move
that
along.
a lot of other applications, which we've kind of talked about,
Yep.
some of the work that I've been doing could
Yep.
have application. Yeah.
Yep.
You just have to let me know what kind of batteries are used,
Yeah.
or if it's rechargeable.
Right. And I like the rechargeable things. So you don't have to open a compartment and change a battery. I mean,
Right.
that is feels like a barrier right there.
Yeah, well, it's like the more expensive toothbrushes use inductive charging. You know, that's how they work when they stick it into the base station.
The nice thing about
Yeah.
this, though, is if there's any spare room inside the device that's accessible, even if it is a rechargeable battery, I guess if it's a rechargeable battery, there's a lot less likely to be a compartment that you can open and get into. But if you can, a switch interrupter with a reed switch, if you can fit it in there, we've got tiny ones. So you don't need a whole lot of spare room. If you want to drop in replacement for the battery, you really constrain how much space you have available. But it opens up so many more opportunities.
Well, yeah. Anybody, Jason, Cole, anything you want to talk about that you're working on?
Sure. For me, there's one person at one of our demo centers here in Texas that one of their consumers was kind of asking if there's any kind of 3D printed tool around basically squeezing open different sized medication bottle containers or bottle tops. And I've had seen very few designs, 3D printed files like online. So like I saw like one that like has been kind of, there's several variations. The tricky thing for me is I'm trying to figure out the best way to kind of customize it, or like basically do 3 different sizes. And I'm like thinking like maybe I could do it through Tinkercad, make my life slightly easier. But trying to figure out kind of like because give me the diameter dimensions of like each bottle cap, but like trying to figure out if I can really adapt it from one singular file, because not having to just work specifically on like the section that would be the twist or squeezing on and off, versus the like trying to mess with the sizing of the whole entire bottle opener. And I can share my screen, show
Oh,
the
I'm sure Bill and I know which one you're trying.
it's
Just say burst
this
his bubble, Ron. Let's do it.
yes. And my thing is like I'm sure they're also probably better manufactured options. But it's like, why not try to look at what 3D print options are out there. So this is one of like 3 or 4 designs that came from one singular file. And basically it's like I'm trying to see if maybe through Tinkercad I can maybe create like separate objects and kind of not separate objects, but kind of just test out the diameter of this and then kind of increase or decrease it depending on the size of the diameter.
Well, I would show you some of the samples we printed out, but I threw them all out in frustration.
That's fair. That's fair. But like if y'all have any, I know we're coming up in like the last minute, but if y'all have any suggestions other than like using Tinkercad, I will say I have very, very limited CAD skills. So
I've seen the ones online where it removes the child safety feature in the bottle cap. I mean, it may be important if you have kids to have that, but I've seen it the other way where there's a thing to help you remove it from the cap.
good to know. Good to know. Because yeah, basically it's just one of the things where it's like limited arm strengths or limited hand strength, so just like trying to squeeze and top open. But yeah, good to know.
So yeah, I mean, some of the caps just come where you can flip them over and then they're not childproof.
But they're still too narrow. That's part of the problem too. They're too, they need a bigger surface to, like, if you have arthritis and you can't have your hand like that, you have to have it like that. It's a remarkably difficult problem, let me tell you. Especially if you're trying to do one that supports multiple bottles, because
Yeah, that's the tricky thing. And it's like I've seen a lot more things just around like it's like soda and water bottle openers, but like I'm not sure if I can. There's even one where it has like 4 different sizes, more geared towards like your soda and water bottles, but I'm not sure if that'd be kind of applicable to your standard like Walgreens med top bottle. Probably not. So.
And it's been a while. So with a childproof, you have to kind of pinch it in and turn. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the really tricky thing.
Yeah, and it depends. Different bottles have different childproof techniques. Some have a tab you push down. Some it's just all.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's really hard to. That's part of what makes it a difficult general problem.
And like apparently like it's like 3 different sizes or 3 different diameter types, but like 12 different bottles of meds. So it's like sometimes there probably could be similar diameters, but like not necessarily the same like strength needed or
right. And you get different, you get refills and it's different size bottles. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
I like the one that I just put into the chat for just bottle caps, but you almost need 2 of those to be able to hold both parts simultaneously. And if you can do that, you don't need the device.
Good. I will definitely print out this one as well because this looks intriguing for sure. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that's funny because when you put that in, Bill, because I was thinking I have this old, it's old like mason jar lid opener, and I was like, it's some variation of this that could do it, but yeah, that's the variation.
Because technically, Bill, with that file, like, is the smallest section, like, would that most likely kind of, I'm assuming, work with your typical med bottle?
I think the smallest one might be smaller than the typical med bottle. It's actually meant more for like a soda or water bottle cap.
Gotcha. Yeah.
The wider ones, though, should fit.
Okay.
Probably the middle one is the one you're after.
Gotcha. Good to know. And the tricky thing is like this is one of our Amazons from like out of town, like based out in like College Station. So I mean, I might go ahead and send him a couple of things, but I'd probably still have to. Tricky thing is like I don't have the person in front of me to to kind of figure out what works best. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Hey,
if you
Cole,
can
did
print
you or
that one
someone-
out and send it, that seems like an easy start. Yeah.
yeah. And what were you about to say, Bill?
Did you or someone from your team post to Reddit recently advertising what you all do?
I have not posted Reddit. No. Is
I
that
started
a
to pull up
thing?
I started to pull up my phone, but then it wants to take over my Bluetooth.
Yeah.
There was a post in r/assistive technology
Okay.
that I saw yesterday or this morning that I saw it, and I didn't even click through to look at the detail of it, but I went, oh, I bet that's Cole.
No, yeah,
So
I have
it might be
not.
worth
I've
checking
never
out.
posted on the Reddit. So
Cool. I'll try to find it and send it to you.
okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Well, my only update is I met with a local group, a Columbia group, and there's a bunch of kid. I think they're kids. They might be all ages that are doing employment skills, and they want to jump into 3D printing. One idea was like, well, but one woman was like, and they can sell it. And I'm like, no. We're gonna start with open source files. But the woman who's overseeing it, she's really excited just to, get these kids in 3D printing. They're excited to print your Switch, Bill, the one, well, not yours, but the one you gave me, to
Oh,
help
yeah,
some
yeah.
woman locally in Columbia who's doing toys, Switch adapted toys for kids. I don't know who she is, but apparently she's buying her Switches. So I don't know if you know her.
Do you
So,
have a name?
the idea is they're going to make Switches for her for this project, and then make other things and help people in the local community, actually in their organization, just be more independent.
Was this with Pascal's Pals Switched or another
Maybe
group?
she couldn't remember the name of the group, but it might be. I was working with Tara from Woodhaven. She works for Encircle, which is
Oh, okay.
Woodhaven took up Encircle. Anyway,
So
it's just kind of fun to like spread 3D printing around, especially to folks with disabilities as a way to kind of be an entrepreneur, potentially, but start somewhere.
Yeah, the one big group I know of here that does Switch adapted toys in Columbia actually came up with their own 3D printed Switch design that I've been meaning to try.
Oh.
That they do using a keyboard switch for the actual mechanism itself, and then they just print a different keycap for it, basically, and a base. And so I haven't tried it myself yet, but they love it and swear by it. And so we've actually talked about printing some of the ones that you had just talked about and that one, and trying to compare the two to see which one stands up better to kids. So
Well, I'd
we'll
love
see.
to maybe you could do the file, or share
Yeah.
the file with us. Are people interested in continuing this over the summer?
Yes.
You've got
Yes.
thumbs up. I am.
I
Jessica,
definitely
you
get
said
in
no.
July and August.
What's
I
that,
said
Cole?
yes.
I definitely get in July and August, but
Okay.
yes.
So Naomi, you are on the hook for making some more links. All right. Well, I'm excited not to, I didn't want to really drop it for 3 months. All right, but we should. Do you want to just keep it same day, same time, same place?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way it's just, people who know that it's out here can jump on. Okay. All right. Let's end this and meet back up next month.
Awesome.
All righty.
Thanks so much, y'all.
All right. Great. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.